stipulated on the program. So that immediately excludes that this is a German celebration of life. This is then an African celebration of life by default. I'd like to welcome everybody. And just looking at the gathering, it's clear today that Manfred had a massive influence on a lot of people's lives. My name is Zirk. I've been asked to do some announcements, which I will keep short. We will start off with an official service, followed by a strings performance. Thereafter, we will have some friends and family who would like to say something about Manfred. And then thereafter, followed by a song sung in 4 or 5 languages, if I'm not mistaken, by the team of African Packaging. Whoever so feels like you would like to join are obviously welcome. Thereafter, we will open up the microphone to whoever feels like they want to add, share stories about the good and the bad things and the experiences that you've had with Manfred and with the family. I would like to remind you that this is a celebration of life like Manfred wanted. Please share stories about camping trips and all of these things that you have come accustomed to and know Manfred. I will be giving over to Dominee Thijs van der Merwe.
Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you can hear me. I was asked to do a short religious ceremony because we are quite aware of the fact that many of us present here are of the faith. Not everybody, but it was decided by the family that we will do it in such a way. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm going to read Psalm 8. For the director of music, according to the Gedith, the Psalm of David. Lord, our Lord, how majestic is your name in all the earth. You have set your glories in the heavens. Through the praise of children and infants, you have established a stronghold against your enemies, to silence the foe and the avenger. When I consider your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars, which you have set in place, what is man that you are mindful of him? Human beings that you care for them. You have made them a little lower than the angels and crowned them with glory and honor. You made them rulers over the works of your hands. You've put everything under their feet, all flocks and herds, and the animals of the wild, birds of the sky, and the fish in the sea, all that swim the paths of the sea. Lord, our Lord, how majestic is your name in all the earth. The psalm sings about the glory and the majesty of God's creation, of which we all are part. The Creator created not only space and time, but also you and I. We have been placed on this earth to do what David did, and that was to discover the glories of the Creator by looking at his creation and the wonder of his creation. But David also says to us there are 2 important things that we must understand, and that is that God is mindful of his creation. The Creator has not abandoned what he had made, but he is mindful of us, and he visits his creatures. And that is awesome. Pondering the splendor of the stars, the moon, and the skies, David stands in awe, and he invites us to stand in awe with him because of the vast beauties and splendor of creation. And that's one of the things that I have discovered about Manfred, is that he was doing exactly that. That was his religion, is to glory in the creation in which we partake. The psalm starts out by lifting our gaze and helping us to understand there's more to life than just our little circle and the things that challenges us. To look away from ourselves and to discover the splendors of nature and of the starry sky above us, and to ponder the eternity of all of that. And then also to measure ourselves against that. And yet, even if we could feel very, very small, if we measure ourselves in terms of the universe, I don't know if you have ever done that. It gives you cold shivers. If you've ever pondered the time span that we know of, that is supposed to be the time span of the universe, it's easy to feel insignificant. But being a creature of this creation, this psalm reminds you, you are not. Manfred's life was not insignificant. His life mattered. His life mattered because he had impacted the lives of other people around him. And he was glorifying his Creator in doing so. He was glorifying his Creator by enjoying nature. You saw the photographs in the PowerPoint display. Sitting there, I think it must have been a print copy. I think I saw that one. And just being in and with nature. That's something we sometimes miss doing because we are so busy with life. And therefore, David, as a psalmist, writes and says, just stop for a moment and ponder. Just stop and ponder your own life. I didn't have the privilege of knowing Manfred myself. I knew of him, but I didn't know him. And as I spoke with Monica yesterday, I realized that I really missed out. Because he was someone who lived mindfully. That's what I heard. He was mindful of the people around him. He cared. And that is a singular gift. Not what many of us had that. And I think that made him special. He made time for people. He gave the most precious gift anyone can give, and that is your time. Because if you give your time, you give yourself. A part of yourself is dedicated to the person that you give that time to. He used his gift to listen to others in order to advise, encourage, comfort, and give hope. And in doing so, he was giving himself. He chose to walk wisely and neighborly through life. And he employed the influence he had, the wisdom that was bestowed on him, and the power that was in his hand to improve the lives of others. Every act of kindness, every moment of love, every quiet prayer matters deeply to us, but also we should know from the psalm to our Creator. Though our hearts ache today, we can rest in the truth that the one we remember now is held in the eternal embrace of his Creator. His majesty fills the earth. This psalm is both a song of awe and of promise. That the God who set the stars in place also cares deeply about each soul, and in his presence, Nothing is truly ever lost. What we also know, or also learned about Manfred, is that he had a great sense of humor, that he was someone who spread joy, that he loved to prank people by surprising them, and that he was really including people into his own life. Fun-loving, one could say. And he enjoyed the life that he was given and afforded to the fullest. And in this process, I'm quite sure you who are sitting here, who knew him, who celebrate his life today, will be able to say he made life enjoyable to me. Life worth living. He was also someone who really reveled in nature, I said just now. And when I walked away, I was sad because the truck that stood there was used only once. And I feel, yeah, that was sad. In the past 18 months, Manfred and the people close to him discovered what it meant to become really frail. The suffering and degrading of strength and discomfort that came with it serves to remind us all of our own frailty and the heartache that comes with it. But he was blessed by having people around him who truly cared and truly loved. And I know if he wanted to say something today, he would have said, "Thank you, Monica." Sometimes we ponder the question, why is it that God is mindful about us if we are so small? And at times such as this, when we commemorate the life of Manfred, we are asking the same question from a place of maybe disorientation and despair of the human frailty and the reminder that life is indeed fleeting. It's but a moment. Yet in these moments, we are reminded that the Creator has not abandoned his creation, nor has he abandoned us. He is mindful of us, and he cares for us through one another. And so it's with this reassurance that we say our farewells today. But it's also in this reassurance that we carry on with life as we go forward today. And hopefully, taking with us all the positives that we have gained from Manfred's life. Amen.
Look at the stars, how they shine for you. You are the things that you do.
Hi everybody, it's me again. I want to talk about a completely different person today. I've been listed as one of the guys to make a tribute to Manfred, but I'm not talking about Manfred today. I'm going to talk about Kukuczynski. I don't know how many of you have ever had the privilege, if you phone Manfred and Kukuczynski answers the phone, you will know that he's busy with something. He's definitely up to something. When Kukuczynski answers the phone, the ones of you know. But Kukuczynski is a special person. I don't know where Kukuczynski came from, maybe a Russian spy or something. But it was a persona that Manfred had created when he was just excited about life. Kukuczynski is the guy who could spend hours on his computer looking at the latest BMWs. Now you can build a BMW online, adding specifications, wheels, sunroof. He would specify a BMW and then call me to have a look at the 3D rendering that he's created now. Half of the specifications that he's added to that vehicle I can't even pronounce. Then when it came to the color, no standard was good enough. You would have logins to websites where special colors for BMW can be ordered and specified. It's not the normal stuff the man on the street can get. I don't know how he got that. And he was always steadfast on getting exactly what he wanted. He once ordered a 7 Series BMW, had it built for 8 months long. It was delivered to BMW Windhoek, and it had a small dent on a post. BMW Windhoek offered to have it repaired. He simply refused, and the whole car was rebuilt for another 8 months. Building these cars always got him greatly excited. Now that I think of it, Kukuczynski's main hobby was basically modes of transport. It's campers, aeroplanes, BMWs, motorcycles, boats, and all of the brands of bakkies that exist, except Toyota. He was a man on the move, always thinking about the next adventure. Kukuczynski was also immensely charitable. I know of at least 4 children he has aided and assisted through school, as he has always believed that with education and determination, you can give yourself the power to change your own outcome. Not to mention the time and effort he has dedicated to so many organizations as a committee member, as chair and as trustees to various organizations. Kukuczynski was also a philosopher, especially after a couple of whiskeys or knartsies at the office. We would sit after a random day and have something to drink and solve the world's problems. The topic of discussion would start with stuff that we can control around us: company expenses, culture, vision of where we want to go and where we want to be. After the second and third, we would start touching on subjects of an esoteric nature, stuff about emotions, about life. At that stage, usually one of us would get a call asking when we will be home, knowing well that none of us had informed our better halves that we were working late. The last subject, before we leave to go home, would usually be about things we have no control over. Having 2 flat tires when you're on a camping trip, COVID-19, why Germany is going to the dogs. And the answer almost always from Kukuczynski was, we have no control, or we cannot change everything, and it is what it is. So today, I will accept that you, Kukuczynski, are no longer with us in flesh and blood, and I cannot control it. And in your words, it is what it is.
Liebe Monika und Familie, liebe Trauergemeinde, heute ist kein guter Tag, aber wir wollen gerne Abschied nehmen. Ich wurde gefragt, um mein Erlebnis oder mein Verhältnis mit Manfred zu erzählen und wie wir dazu gekommen sind. Manfred habe ich das erste Mal kennengelernt bei Weg und Vogts beim Frühschoppen, und da stand er immer in einer Ecke an einem Tisch, und so haben wir uns immer, nicht fast jeden Samstag, aber öfter da gesehen, und ich dachte immer, der ist aber arrogant, bisschen hochnäsig, der Typ, weil der war immer anders. Und was für ein Irrtum war das. Wir haben uns dann durchs Tennis beim DTS kennengelernt, wir wurden Freunde, wir haben geknobelt zusammen. Da muss ich noch sagen, müssen wir ihm noch was beibringen. Das werde ich ihm aber dann, wenn wir wieder uns treffen. Und so haben wir uns kennengelernt. Manfred wurde ein wirklich wahrer Freund für mich, ein wirklich Vertrauter. Wir haben uns ausgetauscht, und wirklich an Manfred konnte man Verlass drauf lassen. Dann meine Frau, wie er mit meiner Frau umging, ein Gentleman immer was, ein gutes Kompliment, immer höflich, freundlich und super. Meine Kinder haben ihn als väterlichen Freund kennengelernt, auch für die, was er für die, wenn die mal ein Problem waren, hat er immer irgendwas Komisches, kam dann auf einmal, kommen 24 Überraschungseier mit Sprüchen drin. Das war Manfred. Der hat immer gut, und so hat er vielen, vielen Menschen geholfen. Dann sind wir zusammen auch auf Campingtouren gefahren. Manfred, immer der ruhende Pol, am Lagerfeuer abends haben wir uns ausgetauscht, gelacht, Geschichten erzählt. Den Jerusalemer haben wir eben gerade gesehen, den will er noch perfektionieren. Hat er getanzt immer. Dann die Pangolin, die PCRF Foundation, hat er großzügig immer unterstützt. Wir waren auch da gewesen, haben uns das angeguckt mit Manfred. Auf jeden Fall Manfred, wir durften noch seinen 71. Geburtstag mit ihm feiern im Busch. Und ich sehe, hier sind einige, die dabei waren. Was für eine Ehre das war. Manfred, du hinterlässt eine große Lücke. Ich glaube, in meinem Leben auf jeden Fall. Ich glaube auch für viele andere hier. Vielen, vielen Dank für alles. Leb wohl. Dankeschön.
Good afternoon, all. It is wonderful to see such a huge crowd of people that crept into, that Manfred's crept into your hearts. Before we start, I just want to talk a little bit about life as such. The circle of life. Have you ever stopped to think as to why all the significant things that have a direct influence on our lives are actually circular? The sun is circular, gives us light, warmth, and comfort, and is instrumental for the very existence of life on earth. If it were not for the circle of life, birth, growth, development, and eventually death would not exist. Our earth is circular and revolves around its own axis every 24 hours, completing a full circle. Our bodies are omni-shaped, but the head, which is the control center of our thoughts and desires, is circular. Our eyes that perceive the vision and reality of life are also circular. And ultimately, the most significant instrument that governs our everyday lives, the clock, alias time, is the epitome of the circle of life. The minute we are born, the clock of life starts ticking. We as mortals have no jurisdiction over this clock. It ticks on relentlessly at its own solitary pace and reaches full circle every minute, every hour, without fail. Manfred's clock, unfortunately, reached full circle. As much as he tried to slow down the clock and get an extension on time, it was without success. With many of the unfortunate and sad events that we experience in life, we often wish we could turn back the clock and undo what happened. But time, unforgivably, has no reverse gear. Our lives without recourse are subject to the circle of life. We are here today to celebrate the 71 years of Manfred's life. And I've been privileged to have known him for over 60 years. Of those 71 years, he was with us. As young boys, we attended the same school, St. Paul's College, and as fate would have it, we landed up in the same class, and that's when our lifelong friendship began. As youngsters, we were inseparable, and he became my virtual twin brother. Manfred and I were born in December 1954. His birthday was on the 1st and mine on the 17th. We were 16 days apart. As young boys, we did almost everything together that our parents approved of and did not approve of. In those days, the form of transport was the bicycle. Come rain, sunshine, freezing cold winter, we were tough and pedaled to school and back home again alongside each other. On a lighter vein, Manfred holds the record for the fastest bicycle ride from Windhoek West to his then home in Robert Mugabe, close to Windhoek High School. Manfred's mum was a very strict German lady, and his curfew was set for 10 p.m. sharp. Manfred had a schoolgirl friend he visited in Buck Street and often did not realize that he overstated his curfew time of 10 o'clock. His mom would phone the girlfriend's house at exactly 10 p.m. Wo ist der Manfred? Manfred knew he was in trouble and had to get home very fast. He would jump on his bicycle and cover the distance to home quicker than you could drive it today in a motor car. Red lights, stop signs, traffic rules and regulations were totally ignored. But that was minor in relation to what awaited him at home. One of the highlights of our schooling career was that we were both participated in the school cadet band at St. Paul's. Manfred as the drum major and I as one of the snare drummers. The most exciting event for us was leading the Vicar Carnival procession down Independence Avenue, at that stage known as Kaiser Street. Manfred leading the band proudly and throwing his golden plated scepter high into the air and catching it before it fell to the ground. A spectacular sight. Manfred and I often drove our dad's cars at the age of 16 and 17 without a driver's license. But don't tell anybody. Manfred, who was big in stature, looked much older than his actual age. He, without informing me, went to apply for his driver's license at the age of 17. And lo and behold, he succeeded in obtaining it. Well, I thought, if he can do it, so can I. We always do things together. So I also applied, went through the test, passed with flying colors, and just when the traffic officer was about to put the stamp of approval on my license application, looked up at me and said, "How old are you?" I felt like a mouse that was cornered by a cat with nowhere to run. I sheepishly replied, 17. He looked at me and said, "Do you realize you have to be 18 to obtain a driver's license?" He immediately cancelled my application. And then I stupidly asked, how come can my friend get a license And he is only 16 days older than me. I had set the cat amongst the pigeons. The officer immediately asked, "Who is this person?" I refused to tell him. He then threatened me and said that if I don't tell him, I can kiss a license goodbye. What option did I have? He then proceeded to phone Manfred's parents and told them that Manfred should bring back his license with immediate effect for cancellation. You can imagine, Manfred was raving mad. And he never spoke to me for many months, which was very hard. But even this event did not break our friendship. We eventually obtained our driving license the day we turned 18 and laughed at what had happened. Manfred and I were both conscripted to do compulsory military training for a year after school, but were unfortunately posted to different military bases. And that was the only time we were not together, but still stayed in touch with letters, as was the form of communication in those days. In the years that followed, we met the ladies of our lives and got married 3 weeks apart from each other. Manfred was my best man and I his. Manfred and I, at every opportunity, did many things together. But as we moved on in life, there were always these hidden, unspoken rivalries between us. It was like a competition. Both of us always wanted to be the top dog. As an example, Manfred always had to have the bigger and better car. Nevertheless, this rivalry actually had a very positive effect on both of us, as it motivated us to always strive to be better in our achievements. Many times we had spoken about reaching the age of 90, sitting together one day and reminiscing about our past life experiences. But fate had other plans. You can now understand why I still miss Manfred. Like you miss water in the desert. Manfred, my lifelong friend, brother, confidant, may you rest in peace.
Hallo Manfred. Ja, wir sind alle für dich hier. Dear Monica, Raimo, dear friends, what Mike didn't tell you, what he told me now, and which Manfred never told me, is that he owns a baby making company. That's what he told me. A baby making company. But it's not what you think. So he makes apparel for babies. Anyway, I thought that was an interesting little introduction to Mike, and Mike as a friend of Manfred's. By the way, we are all Sagittarians. I'm on the 2nd of December, and he was on the 1st of December. So in that way, we never really missed one another's birthday. The kind of friendship I had with Manfred, and I got to know him in the early 80s, was not the kind of friendship where you I never went and had drinks with him or went to fancy parties or so on, but we were always in touch. We knew what we were doing. I looked at my SMSs and our exchange over the years, and was basically keeping up with one another and sharing some things which we thought were important with one another. We did share two passions. One of them was camping, as alluded to by others, and the other was flying. So I think our first camping trip was in 1985. And as someone said, Manfred loved organizing things. So he was the great organizer. And in those days, I mean, we could travel to the Kunene River and traveled there in those days, sleeping just on a sheet with a bedroll and nothing else. And we had the most amazing times. I think there were 5 of us in this group. We did about, 10 or 11 trips. And then we did spontaneous trips, but not as regular as we had in the past. But they were magic, except for 1 year. Manfred, you forgot the chairs. Can you believe it? Forgetting the chairs. There we were on a camping trip for 8 or 9 days without chairs. Anyway, we managed and we forgave him. We didn't ever hold it against him again. But it was a period of being wild and free and being able to do things. When we came to Apupa the first time, there was nothing there, nothing. Just open, free space. And then we shared flying. So in about, I think, late 90s, I had a share in an aeroplane, but I didn't have a license. And then Manfred came to me and he said, well, why did you get a license? And I said, well, I'd never actually thought about it, but eventually I did, with this encouragement. And when I did my first solo, who did I phone? Manfred. I said, Manfred, I'm part of the club. We had a plane together. In fact, we had 2 planes together. We never had any agreements, nothing in writing, but it worked fantastically well. So very often when we flew, Manfred would insist flying, even though I also had my license, which was fine. You know, I learned from him, but we spoke to one another. When you're alone up there, I mean, it's the most amazing feeling. Probably some pilots among you who have felt that. But you feel this feeling of space, of freedom. And Manfred expressed that. And I remember one particular flight. We were flying from Windhoek to Swakop. And obviously we had inquired beforehand what the weather conditions were. And we were told it was cloudy. But Manfred said, listen, by 11 o'clock, clouds will be gone. Anyway, we arrived over Swakop. And legally we weren't, as private pilot license holders, not allowed to fly if you can't see the horizon. And then we flew around and said, well, Manfred, we should land at Arundus or whatever. And he said, look, there's a hole. And somebody spoke earlier about, I think it was a discussion I had with Monica. Anyway, I was flying and we flew through that hole. I can feel it today, that experience. You fly under that hole. The sky is above you, the clouds above you, and you have this space, this freedom, this unbelievable feeling, and you forget everything else. And Manfred looked at me and he said, frei sein. I think the German expression is better than to be free. Frei sein. And I will never forget that. And there are certain times in life when we do need to be free. We do free ourselves in a way that we can't always do if we are always in control of ourselves. Much has been said about Manfred, about his generosity, about his life. And I can only amplify, I can only say that that's what he was. He was a mensch, he was a person of integrity, honor. He supported my children, even though he had no real relationship other than through me. One thing I am sorry about, and I apologize to Manfred, is that at many of these occasions that we all attend, we say the most wonderful things about someone who can't share what we actually are saying about them. And that is something I think we all need to look at for ourselves and find out whether that is really what we want to do, whether we shouldn't during our lifetime share a bit more about what we think of one another, be it positive, be it bad, be it whatever it is. I did share some things with Manfred. I mean, some of these things he would have probably thought were petty. Maybe not. Who knows? I will never know. Anyway, Manfred, you're a dear friend. I will miss you. But life goes on, as was said by Mike. And coming to Windhoek, to visit Windhoek will not be the same. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Excuse the runny nose. Honestly, we're quite overwhelmed with everybody being here today and seeing so many people. All right. We just want to say that on behalf of our family, we're really, really grateful.
On behalf of our family, I'd like to say that we're here today to celebrate Manfred's life and say goodbye together. Your presence, your kind words, and the memories you have shared mean more to us than we can express. They remind us of how many lives Manfred touched, not only within his family and circle of friends, but also throughout his work, his colleagues, and his long-standing as well as more recent connections. Many of you knew him in a different role, but all of those roles were rooted in the same integrity and warmth. While we will miss him greatly, we're grateful for the years, the laughter, the stories, and the countless moments we were fortunate enough to share with him. Thank you for keeping Manfred in your hearts and for standing with us and each other during this difficult time.
Seid still und erkennt, dass ich bin Gott. Seid still und erkennt, dass ich bin Gott. Seid still und erkennt, dass ich bin Gott. Wirst du in Berg, ik is neer, ik in jou pijn. Jou donkerste nacht, ik is bij jou, ik gee jou kracht. Munya Shiva, O Ami Shanti. Yashiwa, Owambi Shambi, Munyashiwa, Owambi Shambi. I am the Lord that healed thee. I am the Lord that healed thee. I am the Lord that healed thee. Mona Inka, Gita Kusa, Mona Inka, Gita Kusa, Mona Inka, Gita Kusa. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll now open up the floor for anybody who feels they want to share some stories about Manfred, some good things. I know we have a voice note that was sent in from New Zealand. Is that correct? We have it by any chance, have we? I think that'll be a great time maybe to play it. Thank you.
I'm Carl Chief, living in New Zealand. It was in mid-1982 that Manfred and I first met when we worked at Truman's. I was asked to relocate temporarily for 6 months to Windhoek, presumably because I was single and could speak German. I jumped at the suggestion as twice I had toured through Southwest Africa on holiday, and while doing my national service in Yarn, I spent over 12 months in the Caprivi and in Ondanga. I love the country. When Manfred told me about his involvement, passion and deep commitment to Felton Flay, our friendship was cemented even further. I too had completed the Felton Flay course while at school in 1975, and it was awesome. Amazing, true and trusted friend, visiting Deb, my wife, her sister Gail and me in Johannesburg on many occasions. In 1996, Deb and I immigrated to New Zealand with our 2 children. And yes, Manfred travelled all the way to Auckland to visit us. And we in turn visited him in Windhoek. In a true Manfred style, he flew us in his Cessna for 5 days, game watching to Etosha, Damaraland, Swakopmund, and back to Windhoek. A truly unforgettable holiday that our family will cherish and remember. The last time we met up for an amazing day was with Manfred and Monica in Marseille, France, where we had lunch, almost 2 years ago. This August will be 2 years ago. We say goodbye to a very, very special and dear friend, having been blessed and enriched by a friendship that epitomizes the character and true meaning to mankind of loyalty, trust, integrity, positivity, resilience, care, commitment. The list goes on and on. Manfred, we salute you and thank you for being uniquely you. Your sense of humor, your unwavering morals and principles that you always projected will be etched down in our memories. And a phrase that will be with me personally forever is one you used on more than one occasion. Bleibt ein guter Mensch. Goodbye, Manfred. And our thoughts are with Monica and all of her friends and family back in Windhoek and wherever you are.
I've been requested to read a short letter from Elisel Thomas in Afrikaans. Liefste Manfred, omdat ek by African Packaging werk, het ek geleer, alles word verpak, in bokse of sakke, soos Aintjie Krog sê. My nooi is in 'n nartjie, my ouma in kaneel. Is Manfred in 'n bruin papiersak van Spar. 1:15 verby my kantoor, met 'n amper kort af, kom ons eet. Die lunch gaan glad nie oor die inhoud van die sak nie. Nee, dit gaan oor stories van teacher en lewenslesse oor treine, politiek, finansies en word afgesluit met net so einfach. Not so einfach. Manfred was verseker die mees netjiese persoon wat ek nog ooit geken het en verseker ooit sal ken. Ongelooflike fyn oog vir detail. 'n Regte gentle giant, sagte hart vir die wat sukkel en liefde vir die natuur. Elke maandag 'n opregte, hoe gaan dit op die plaas en hoe gaan dit met die kinders? Lekker kamp, Manfred. Liefde Elise.
Unfortunately, my speech will be in German because I've written it in German. Liebe Monika, lieber Raimo, liebe Saskia, wir haben nicht nur einen großen, unser Teddybär, sondern auch einen großartigen Menschen, geliebt, geschätzt und verloren. Er war ein Freund, der Sachen in die Hand nahm, einfach buchte und wir anderen hatten uns halt danach zu richten und haben uns gefreut, wieder ein tolles Musical oder eine fantastische Show mit ihm zusammen zu erleben. Wir waren beim Fußballspiel von Bayern München gegen Schalke 04 im Münchenstadion. Nur leider saßen wir bei der Gegenpartei. Roger Cicero, Udo Jürgens, Florian Silbereisen und Helene Fischer waren so die Highlights in Deutschland. In Südafrika waren wir zusammen bei Richard Kleidermann, Neil Diamond und Roxette. Besonders dankbar war ich ihm, als wir zusammen ins BMW-Werk und alles angucken durften. In meinem nächsten Leben kaufe ich sofort ein BMW. Im Zusammenhang mit dem Oktoberfest in München und der IAA-Schau in Frankfurt war das mit ihm zusammen ein einmaliges Erlebnis, das ich nie vergessen werde. Lieber Manfred, du warst unser guter Freund und hast unser Leben bereichert. Leider kamen wir nie mehr dazu, mit den Sprinters Camprennen ins Dammerland zu fahren. Du hast immer an alle anderen gedacht und dein letzter Satz an mich war: Wie geht es, Gysi? Folgendes Zitat von Franz Grillparzer aus dem 19. Jahrhundert fällt mir dazu ein. Es sind die Starken im Leben, die unter Tränen lachen, ihr eigenes Leid verbergen, um anderen eine Freude zu machen. Das warst du, lieber Freund Manfred.
Ladies and gentlemen, your chance is now. Still want to say anything? On behalf of the family and friends, I would like to thank everybody for being here. Again, by the turnout, we initially thought about 150 people, but we are way more than that. So on behalf of friends and family, we would like to thank Abigail Smith from Fern Funeral Solutions for all of this arrangements, massive arrangements, obviously, and myself being a Burki, but Monica being German, we are quite taxing on a couple of people, especially if it comes to the emotional things. So we want what we want. Then we would like to thank Dr. Sybil Extian and Rose for their support during this difficult time. This concludes the official part of the program today. We now invite you for a light snack or a grazing table. Monica doesn't like that word, grazing table. A lot of cows. To a grazing table and bean to cup coffee. That was not a compromise. It wouldn't have been plastic coffee. So there's nice bean to cup coffee. And then as Manfred also would have wanted it, take a knertsie. There's a bar outside, have something to drink, share stories about his life and all the good things. Thank you so much.